Hey folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. I'm out here in the garage. I want to talk a little bit about why I like to always do my own oil changes. If you like videos about things like this, make sure you click that subscribe button and click the bell notification to be notified each and every time I upload a video. Alright, I'm going to talk a little bit about oil changes. If you have ways that you like to do oil changes, or certain types of oil you like to use, synthetics, non-synthetics, what kinds of filters, I would love to hear about it in the comments down below. The reason I changed my oil myself is not for financial savings. A lot of times, by the time you take your time into account, it's a wash on oil changes. You don't really save that much money. But it's an important part of being able to look your vehicle over yourself, kind of inspect things, make sure everything's good. And it's a critical thing to do to know that it's done right. Oil changes are important. You need to make sure the oil actually gets changed, the filter actually gets replaced, the drain plug doesn't get stripped out. You need to make sure that these things are done right. And people who change oil for a living don't make much money. It's not exactly a skilled trade, and they make mistakes. And YouTube is full of people that have gone to oil change places and ended up needing new engines afterwards. Now, I got busy and I went to the local Quickie Lube by work and I got my oil changed the last time. And I just spent the last 2 hours trying to get my drain plug out. Somebody must have hammered it on with an impact, and it was tight. I finally was able to get it to break loose, but I'll show you. This is a crush washer. This is what a crush washer is supposed to look like. Alright, this is what the crush washer that was on it looked like. They hammered it down so tight that that crush washer had just squeezed out from under the bolt pretty much. I'll have to go back and talk to the place on my lunch hour sometime and show them that, because I'm sure the owner of the place has no idea that there's a new young kid working there that doesn't know he's not supposed to use the 700 foot-pound impact wrench to install oil plugs or the 4-foot breaker bar, right? So knowing that it's done right. Now, if you do get your oil changed another place, what I always do is, at least when they first pull it out, a lot of times they'll pull it out and it'll be sitting there running. I'll pull it out, shut it off, pop open the hood, check the oil, make sure it looks clean, make sure the filter's new, and make sure there's no leaks underneath. A lot of times they look at you weird, but I don't want to drive a block down the road and have my motor lock up because they didn't put any oil in it. And if there's no oil in it and it's been run, I want to know it right there in front of their shop as soon as I pull out the door so that I can sue them for a new engine. What kind of oil do I use? Well, oil's an important component. And, older cars, you can get away with a more basic oil. A lot of the newer cars, they're requiring full synthetics or certain certifications. So like GM has the Dexos and the Dexos 2 certification. And I would say that if you have a car and the manufacturer specifies that you need a Dexos certified oil or that you need a full synthetic, then I would use that. The problem comes in that these oils are more expensive. And the manufacturers are stretching out the maintenance windows so that they can still get the oil that they want, but it doesn't cost you as much because you don't have to change it as often. On GM, you have your oil life monitor system, and that oil, by the time it says it needs changed, comes out black and gunky. I would say if you go by the oil life monitor, 50% at the most, 50% oil life, you need to be changing the oil. It's just going to cost you more. You get better gas mileage and better performance with variable valve timing and all these things, but they have very small passages and screens. If you have a turbo, especially, you need to keep your oil clean. I would say 4,000 or 5,000 miles. You know, while it's going to cost you more in oil changes, it's a lot cheaper and easier than having to replace an engine because the turbo scattered and ate its turbo, or having all kinds of problems with your variable valve timing. I have always been of the opinion that I would rather run a cheaper oil and change it more often. So if it requires a full synthetic, get a cheap full synthetic and then change it at 4,000 or 5,000 miles. And clean oil is key. You know, the blackness that gets in your oil is carbon. Carbon is very abrasive. Diamonds are made from carbon. All right, so that stuff is spinning around in your bearings. I will put a link up here in the corner to my engine rebuild series where I'm rebuilding an engine, and you can see how tight the clearances are in these bearings. And you need clean oil there because that's what keeps the friction down so that those things aren't wearing out inside your engine. What I typically use in my vehicles is some good old Harvest King. This is some 530 right here, and what I always want to see is that it meets the most modern specification, which is the Syntheitc GF5 specification. Before this, I was using a Sam's Club branded oil that also was certified. That was the name of the oil, certified, and it met the Syntheitc GF5 certification. You have these AP service ratings, SNs and all that, but that's like the old stuff since, like, I don't know, 2012 or something. They've been doing the Syntheitc GF certifications. So I always look for something that's Syntheitc GF5 certified, and this is like $1.59 a quart or $79 a quart or something like that. So what I do is I put this in it and I change it every 3,000 miles. A lot of times the oil comes out and it doesn't even look that dirty yet. That's how I want it. I want clean oil inside my engine. This car's rusting out. The engine still runs great. The engine's going to outlive the car. That's how I want it. So let's talk about filters. For filters, I like to use genuine OEM filters. Alright, if you go buy this at the dealership, it's going to cost you more money. This is a genuine Hyundai filter, right? And so you can go on eBay or Amazon though, and you can get like a whole box of these. So I'll order like 15 or 20 at a time, and it gets them down in the $3 or $4 price range, which is the same as that cheapy Fram, which I never run Fram. But you know, I'll use genuine Motorcraft filters, and I even use genuine Mopar filters. The trick on the genuine Mopar filters is Advanced Auto Parts carries them. I wait till I get one of those 25% off online deals. I go order these, and that gets them down in the right price range. You know, genuine AC Delco filters. I'm a big believer in running a good filter because that's what's getting that gunk and sludge and carbon and crap out of your oil, so that it's not going into your engine. The filter is a very important component of your oil system. And as far as frequency, 3,000 miles. That's what I do. And so, like, people say, oh, it's also bad for the environment, and what are you going to do with all that used oil? Well, I got a friend that has a waste oil furnace, and so that's where all my used oil goes to, and it burns very clean. And most of the stuff that's in the oil, the solids and a lot of the additives and stuff, those all come out as ash. So that's how I like to do my oil changes. Again, let me know your thoughts and how you do oil changes, and what you like to do. And do you do them yourself? Do you have someone else do them? I'd love to hear about it. I'll talk to y'all later. This is Tom, your Frugal Prepper.